Drink beer, it's good for you. I'm empty-handed and I'm feeling blue, and I'm gonna drink till the day that I die.
Hi and welcome to the video. In this video I will explain in very easy terms how to get started with kegging. To begin, let's look at what you actually need to get started. The first two things that you see here are a CO2 tank and a CO2 regulator. This CO2 regulator allows the user to control the exact amount of CO2 that is actually carbonating your beer. The round knob that you see here in the center frame is what you use to adjust the amount of CO2 going into your keg. A gas line is fitted between the regulator and the Cornelius keg, and this delivers the gas into your beer. To dispense your beer you have a handheld faucet like the one you see here, and then two different types of line. One is much thinner than the other, and this is to stop foaming. All lines that connect to your Cornelius keg have quick disconnects, as you can see here. Push-fit reducers are used to connect the two different types of line size that you have on your dispensing or beer line. So let's assume now that you have everything that you need to get started with kegging your first beer. What comes next? Yep, you might have guessed you need to clean and sanitize everything. So after removing the lid, the next thing that we need to do is remove these posts. Some people use an adjustable spanner for this. Luckily I have one that fits just right. Underneath the post that serves out of your Cornelius keg you will actually find this dip tube. This is used to dispense the beer out of your keg. Remove this also. Next you will need a caustic soda based cleaner, something like PPW. This is used for cleaning of the keg and all of the parts. So follow the directions on your cleaning product of choice and then fill the entire keg up with water. Water that's quite hot works much better. Fill the keg totally to the brim. You want to have it so that you start to see water come out of those two side holes. This is very important to make sure you have good coverage. Next, put the dip tube into the main part of the keg. You will need to turn this over at some point just to make sure that all of it gets cleaned. Next, using a bucket of some sort and more caustic soda based cleaning fluid with water, submerge the rest of what you had in the keg in this solution. Leave these parts and the keg soaking in the caustic soda based cleaning for at least an hour. So now we're going to clean the beer line. Start off by removing the quick disconnect and also the faucet. Then using a hose, shoot water all the way through the beer line. Beer lines quickly and easily get stained by the beers that they contain, so what I tend to do is let them soak in some sort of washing up liquid, something like that, before I move on to the next part of the cleaning process. With your caustic soda based cleaner still in your Cornelius keg, connect everything up to the keg, including the CO2, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to blast this cleaner all the way through our beer line to clean it further. I would suggest letting this process take at least 10 minutes, the longer the better of course. It's important to have those lines as clean as possible. The next thing you want to do is actually turn off all of the gas coming from your CO2 tank via the regulator and then release the pressure from the keg in the way that you see here. So the next step now is that we need to remove all of that cleaning product from the keg and really give it a good clean with water. What I tend to do for this, and I know many others do also, is I actually fill up the keg once, remove all of the water and then fill it up again and let it soak. I do the same for all of the accessories for the Cornelius keg as well, and I also shoot water through the beer lines in the same way that you saw earlier. The next step is that we now need to sanitize everything before use. There are no hard and fast rules here about having to fill the entire keg with sanitizer. Some people do, some people don't. Of course you can use a shaking method to cover the entire thing in the same way that most people clean a carboy. I also put all of the smaller parts of the keg into some sanitizer for a few minutes just to make sure that everything's done nicely. After that, connect everything back up again, apply a bar of pressure like before, and sanitize all of your lines. I would suggest doing this for at least a couple of minutes just to be on the safe side. So now all you need to do is turn your gas off on your regulator and remove all of the rest of the CO2 from the keg itself. Remove all of the sanitizer, and you're ready now to put your first beer into your Cornelius keg. So now that's all left to do really is to siphon that beer directly into the keg, and you'll see a bit of foam still in the keg. Do not fear the foam. It's important to not overfill your keg. Always fill it so that it's below the level of the gas dip tube. So the only thing left to do now is to turn on our gas and set up the regulator to carbonate our beer. The way that we measure carbonation in beer is by using a value which we call CO2 volumes. Depending on the type of beer will depend on the amount of CO2 volumes that are recommended. As you can see here, I've got a scrolling list here of lots of different styles. I will include this in the YouTube description so that you can go through this yourself. I would suggest that you treat these CO2 volumes as guidelines. It's your beer. It's important that you decide exactly how you want it. There are actually many websites online to choose from that will actually help you through this process far quicker and easier than identifying the specific CO2 volume for your specific beer. One such site that I find very useful is Brewer's Friend. I've put the website addresses here and also linked directly to the keg carbonation calculator. I will put these in the YouTube description also for you. Using this calculator is very simple. You just need to type in the amount of CO2 volumes you want and the keg temperature. Press the update button and it will tell you where to set the regulator. Very simple, very useful. Also on the same page of the calculator there's this carbonation guidelines by style chart, which basically simplifies the CO2 volumes that you need for each style. On top of that there is also a small guide there on how to carbonate the beer too. I agree with the guide that they have here on this page, and I would suggest that you set the regulator to the amount that is suggested and leave it for about a week before you actually test the carbonation level and make sure that you're happy with it. Once you've done this, if you want more carbonation, then simply add more using the regulator. If you feel that you have too much carbonation, then simply pull the ring pull as shown here, and then reduce the amount that's actually on your regulator to bring it down to a more lower CO2 volume. If you're not happy to wait for a week for your beer to be carbonated, then there are various different methods that can be used to increase the carbonation more quickly. I wouldn't really particularly recommend any of them personally, but if you're interested in those, they are available on YouTube elsewhere. Naturally, I haven't covered everything that you could ever possibly want to know about kegging, so if you do have any questions on this subject, then please feel free to ask me via YouTube. So, thanks very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did like it and you have a YouTube account, then please do give me a like. It does help me a great deal actually. If you're new to my videos, then please check out the rest of the channel. I have quite a lot of videos that have already been made covering lots of different things, and I share a lot of my recipes and techniques. I've got a lot of videos coming up too, so please subscribe for future content also. So, until the next one, happy brewing!